My brother crying because we are burning some wood in the fireplace. Digging through old boxes, my wife found her wedding purse. She let the kids play with it, since they like pretending they are princesses and such, and they've been carrying it around excitedly, like it's a great treasure. It turns out they've been using it to store pepperoni. The 6-year-old flatly refused to believe that we used to navigate using maps made out of paper. You mean like pirates? My son kept telling me his best friend was called Joe Fish. I asked other people did they know this child. No one did. Turns out he was called Joseph. This is how I found my kids' toothbrushes. My son, forever falling asleep in the most random and uncomfortable crazy ace positions. The kid has so many places he could sleep, and he picks this: multiple twin beds, futon, a queen bed, bunk beds, hell even multiple couches. And this is the best he could come up with. What the duck? Hello. Any tips on how to instantly remove the stamp pad ink all over my daughter's hands or arms? We already tried washing it with soap and water, but unfortunately, it won't remove. Thanks in advance. My son bit the directional pad off the remote. My 4-year-old had a meltdown this morning because she wants to move to California. We live in California. I'm glad to be an American because my education. In some states, they don't let kids go to school and get educated. By Jared. My school when I was 11 got us to write a letter to our future selves which they would give to us at 16. Mine just said get a job, get a house, get a life. Babysitters for Hire by middle-aged divorced dad. The 24th of January 2023, 11 o'clock. Canada. Today, my girlfriend and I went out to neighbors just down the street and left my 12 and 14-year-old daughters at home. The 12-year-old found the fire extinguisher and thought it was whipped cream, put it in her mouth, and tried to eat it. The 14-year-old didn't even bother to call us. Luckily, the 12-year-old is fine. The stuff was safe. Duck my life. I agree, your life snacks. 55. You deserved it. 14. I was maybe around 5 years old, and I was sitting in my mum's lap while she was watching a movie. In the movie, a couple were out on a boat and got attacked by a shark. The boyfriend was eaten by the shark as his girlfriend sobbed helplessly. I asked my mom, why is she crying? My mom explained that her boyfriend died. I replied, can't she get a new one? When I was a kid, I was a regifter. Since I was too young to have my own money and couldn't go anywhere by myself to get anything, every Christmas and birthday, I would find something around the house to give my parents. They'd ask me where did you get this, while laughing, and I would always reply, I have a friend who got it for me. One Christmas, I decided in my infinite wisdom to give my parents something special from their fridge. Imagine unwrapping a wine bottle Christmas morning given to you by a 7-year-old who got it from a friend. Wait, what? Kids cutting brownies. It was snack time, and kiddo can either have hot dogs or pancake. She went ahead with hot dogs, but when served, she didn't want to eat it and cried because the hot dogs were cooked and warm. Apparently she preferred it frozen and directly from the freezer, insisting she's Queen Elsa, which sense. Being an intuitive parent that I was, I gave her a small ice cube. Kid took it and was doing fine at first by rubbing the cube on the hot dog before having a bite, but she was not happy few minutes later as her linger feels cold and the hot dogs were watery. I ended up reheating the remaining hot dogs as she now wants them warm. After reheating, she didn't want the hot dogs anymore and wanted pancakes instead, asking me why would I give her something that she didn't like in the first place. My 4-year-old said he was car sick so I dumped the groceries from a plastic bag and passed it back to him with instructions to throw up inside it. I heard him throw up and looked back to see that he'd put the bag on over his head like a helmet, so the puke fell right out the bottom. Love you. Love you too. Good night. Good night. Rest in peace. Please don't say that to anybody, okay? The trend that manipulated children last year is back, but apparently less hated. The Waffle House has found its new host. 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 First thing he does. Don't remember the reason, but yeah. Dear Roger's mom, I'm sorry that I hit your son in the head. I could not control my anger when he knocked my milk down on the floor. I'm sorry what I did to your son. Sorry, Roger. Today, girl, 13, leads troopers on 100 miles per hour chase with 11-year-old as a passenger. A 13-year-old Colorado girl led police on a 16-minute chase before being stopped, and police found Mary Jane and a firearm in the vehicle, authorities said. I thought I lost $350, and then 3 months later, I found it in my 4-year-old's room. Girl asks police to test key for DNA proof of Santa. Cumberland, Rhode Island. A young Rhode Island girl has finally figured out how to determine if Santa Claus is real. DNA. Mehanas is special. January is National Soup Month. Make up a recipe for a new soup that you would like to eat. Draw a picture of your creation. Name of your soup. Mehanas is special. Ingredients: coconut cream, water, mushroom, vinegar. Directions: I don't know. Questions my kid asked me this morning. Have you seen my laptop? Can I take 2 pieces of pepperoni for my school snack? Where is Frida Kahlo buried? When I was around 4 or 5, I thought there were 2 different kinds of years. One year had January to August, and the other had September to December. So once September started, it was a new year, and that year would end in January. Guess what, mother ducker? Throwback photo of the time I caught 2 kids who'd been stealing from the school store after they wrote about it in a school notebook. Things we stole: bobo heads, pens, mechanical pencils, dice, excuses, use the bathroom, get a drink, ask Mrs. Laura. When my friend was a kid, he wanted to be a cashier because they were the ones making or getting all the money. A wise doctor once said. My 5-year-old cousin was mad at my aunt, so he went up to her and with as much poutiness, yes that's a word now, as he could muster, he said, "You're not mommy anymore. Daddy is mommy now. Deal with it." When I was a kid, my parents deleted the Minecraft icon from the desktop assuming it was some kind of malware, and I literally went batshit because I thought all my maps were gone. After I reinstalled Minecraft again and found out that my maps were not gone, my dumbass assumed they were saved on the cloud. So when my parents asked me sometime if it was okay to reset the laptop, I confidently agreed. To the 6 people that disliked, I will find you, and I will break your legs. Touch my shell, not my head. Shit mon, you're gonna help me wrap your siblings. I would always help my mom wrap gifts, and yet I still thought Santa was real. I wasn't the brightest. In my first year of school, I told my teacher my dad was a Leamington salesman. This is because I would see Leamingtons in the freezer and ask my mum if I could have one, and she would say no, they are for your dad, for work. They were there for him to eat at work. Lucas strikes again. Why? Kids on YouTube be like, Warren, kids are little bundles of terror. Me, excuse me. Be careful, somebody might post it on r/kidsarestupid. This kid from my little brother's class DM'd me for some programming issues he was having. Sup. Hi. Sup. I'm fine. Thank you. K. My youngest isn't very bright. Maybe I'm the failure with dad joke. Nap, my kid is dumb. What is the opposite of ladylingers? Nothing. Mentos. Huh. The candy. Mentos. Mentos. Yay. What about it? Is the opposite of ladylingers. It's a joke. I don't get it. I think this is worse than sleep paralysis. I just wanna sleep, man. Today, I found out my 7-year-old daughter really did lie about my husband's other girlfriend as revenge for being grounded, and that he never cheated on me at all. We're well into our divorce proceedings, and he won't forgive me for not believing him when he denied it. Duck my life. Took the time to find a Sharpie instead of refilling the toilet paper. No toilet paper for you. My son is 3. He has this globe with name tags that go into the continents. He was having a nap today and we told him he had to put the continents away. He tried to swallow one of the name tags, like right in front of us, fired it in his mouth, and began to choke. I'm glad we were both there. That globe has gone away for a while. R/kids are ducking stupid. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with Star Wars. In Return of the Jedi, right before Luke takes off Vader's helmet, a part of their conversation made me apply the same logic across the entire Star Wars universe. Basically, Vader tells Luke to take off his helmet because he wants to see his son with his own eyes, but Luke says he'd, Vader, die if he takes it off. I literally took this to mean that if any character in the franchise put on a helmet then took it off they would die, except for the main characters, and I believed this for years. I'm ashamed LMAO. He was convinced I would never find him. Ah yes, the good old break into the car with beef jerky. Did you get the keys? Lol yes. Had to break into the truck to get them. Lol did you break the window? No. Just had to use what's called a Slim Jim to unlock it from inside the door. Oh lol the food. First player made thing I found on my 2-hour-old Minecraft Anarchy server. Hang up the computer call and kiss me on my heat mouth. I'm feeling romantical. Big cheesy balls at 2 AM yo man dead lol hee hugger. My daughter is on a snow day and drew a picture of daycare. When I was around 4, I wanted to help my grandpa mow the lawn. Only problem is, when he turned it on I got so scared by the noise I ran away from his house and tried to run home. I only lived 5 blocks from my grandparents at the time. Thankfully they caught up to me about 3 houses down. 4-year-old me clearly knew everything about languages. This happened when I was 4. I don't remember it, but I found a note in an old book of my kindergarten records. To paraphrase, there was a student in my class who had recently moved from Greece and I commented something like name is learning to speak. The teacher explained that they spoke Greek and will learn to speak English soon. I, apparently, thought for a moment and then said we speak name of city I lived in. My wife is switching jobs, and one of her kids wrote this in a card to her. Love your name. Found him like this on a Saturday afternoon. Our 4-year-old has moved out. This pet is my home now. Kids who need an extra day to practice. Kids who volunteer to present first. My daughter is called Mabel, and when she was 3 we sent her to a nursery in the school she will later attend. She made some friends there, and one day we picked her up, and I said hello, Mabel. Then one of the mums waiting burst out laughing and then apologized. Turns out her kid has been telling her that he is friends with a girl called Meatball for weeks, and it had only just clicked that he means Mabel. It cracked us up and still makes me laugh when I think about it. I grew up very poor, but every maybe 6 months or so, my mom would splurge on homemade pizza, Chef Boyardee boxed mix, can of mushrooms, can of olives, bag of pepperoni. Inevitably, not all the pepperoni would get used, so I'd sneak home when I was supposed to be out playing, creep to the fridge, snag a stack of pepperoni and shove it in my waistband. Not only did I always develop a rash nobody could explain, but I still prefer my pepperoni kind of warm and melty. These kids are ducking champions. I used to wet the bed until I was 4 or 5. It was awful as there was nothing I could do about it. I would have that same dream of paying, but would wake up in my own piss. I'm 27 and I don't wet the bed anymore, but whenever I have that dream I wake up panicked that I might just peed myself. Mentally scarred lol. Paying is stupid. Once I told my 3-year-old niece I'm gonna eat the sofa, and she vehemently protested the very notion of that. Then we had a family walk outside, and I let her know I entertained the idea of eating the house, and she rapidly came to the family members attract their attention to the treat of this heinous act. Geez, these calf pains were the bane of my childhood. I've heard of growing pains before, but didn't realize until now that's what was happening to me. I get the same pain sometimes if I've had a lot of caffeine or alcohol the day before. My mum used to literally tie my calves with a rope so that I could get to sleep. Once I hadn't slept all night from the calf pain that I fell asleep in the school dinner hall. The teacher caught me and told off, and I told her I couldn't sleep because my legs were hurting. She just scoffed and told me not to be so ridiculous. Damn growing pains, man. My mom said I would fall asleep normal and roll into an awkward position once I fell asleep. I once woke up with one leg looped over the bed frame, the other off the bed, and my arms stretched out. It looked like I was dancing in my sleep. I remember being 4 or 5 and asking my grandmother what state she lives in. She lived in Dallas at the time and we lived a few hours north of Dallas, and when she answered Texas I guess I was expecting her to say Dallas or something, and when she said Texas I went no, we live in Texas. What state do you live in? I guess I didn't know the difference between city and state at that age, but I kept insisting that she couldn't live in Texas because we were in Texas. I also didn't realize how big Texas is. 2 to 3 hour car ride is an eternity for a kid and might as well be a couple of states away. When I was real little, my rudimentary understanding of relationships led me to believe they were like tiers, so a guy could have a wife, fiance and girlfriend. It was convenient for me since I had more girl dolls. Once I learned more about how relationships actually work, there was just a lot more cheating, breaking up, and getting back together, dying, coming back to life. I wish I could go back and watch the crazy soap operas I made up. When I was just a few years old, I told my mother that I didn't think it would be so bad if my parents and family died because everyone is so wonderful and I would just live with another nice family. My heart breaks when I think about it. I hope my mom understood that I just had no understanding of death and that she was and is irreplaceable. I loved and love her today. In actuality, my childhood to that point had been so wonderful, I had no concept of feeling bad or feeling sad. Death was completely foreign. I was just a child babbling. As a small child, my dad told me about my uncle, a stillborn his mother had long ago. As a clueless child I said, oh, but it's okay, she didn't know the baby, she can have another one. My dad understood how innocent I was, he simply explained it. Still didn't understand it as a child till I thought about it just now. I'm 35, so don't feel bad, because I now know how traumatic it was for my grandma. We were children, it's okay prayers. Saw my dad sitting on the couch and ran up to him and climbed on his lap to get a hug and cuddle. He blew a cloud of cigarette smoke in my face and I breathed it in and started coughing. I went to my room to lay down. My mom was standing nearby and said nothing but told me I turned green. He never apologized. About 5 years later he was still hitting me and yelling at me, and every Christmas would leave the house while my mom and I would decorate the tree. Almost 30 years later, and we still don't talk for long periods. When I was in grade school back in the 70s, I won a bottle of booze at a church Christmas fundraiser. Things were more relaxed then, so they gave it to me and told me to make sure I give it to my parents when I get home. I wrapped it and gave it to my dad. He was not amused. When I was in kindergarten, I took a bottle of Flintstones vitamins to school and was giving them to the kids in class. All I really remember of it, I brought the story up to my mom in my 20s and she just gives me this look. She then proceeds to tell me that her and my dad were called into my school and were told that I was mimicking drug dealing. I laughed. She did not. Back in my day, kids were on their own on the playground. The teachers, if they were even outside, were snow skiing in the corner. The area was unfenced next to a busy road. No one ever got snatched by a predator or run over by some miracle, but the crap we did. Boys wandered to the bus garage and did pranks to the underside of any bus parked outside. We beat the crap out of each other, and in one memorable episode one kid told another that he could keep any pocket change he swallowed. To this day I remember that kid running toward the teacher screaming, "I swallowed a dime," over and over. Throwing pine cones? Puffed? Please. That's for babies. When I was 5, we were asked to take care of our neighbor's fish while they were on vacation. I saw my mom feeding them, and the next day I offered to feed them. I had seen a bowl of potpourri very close to the tank, and I thought that was the fish food, so I dumped the whole thing in and killed them all. My little sister tried cleaning her hamster's cage and well, the chemicals made him have a seizure, and she brought him outside where we were sitting, and it bites her hard, and she flung it when he bit and it hit the table breaking his back, and he died somewhere in the night.